Hi, what is language? This is what we ended with in our last episode. What is the purpose of language? The purpose of language is nothing but to communicate and to express. We cannot imagine the world and life without the help of language. We always use language to cognize the world and life. Even in thinking, we use the language. Sometimes we wonder, certain things we cannot express through words. Language doesn't help. Even at that time we say, the words are not enough to express these things. Even there we use the language. The only thing that differentiates human being from other living organisms is language. When you learn a second language, you own a second soul. When you learn the third language, you own a third soul. Is there a language with which you can own all the souls in the world? Yes, there is such a language. That is the language of cinema. By learning the language of cinema, you can own all the souls in the world, because language of cinema is the most wonderful and powerful one. When I mean language of cinema, it is not the language the characters in a film speaks. The language of cinema is beyond that. It's a visual language. It is made up of shots, sequences, and scenes through the magical process of editing. Often we have seen people watching movies where they do not understand the language the characters speak. Still, they love, appreciate, enjoy the film because they understand the language of cinema. I remember 22 years back in Chennai, people were enjoying the film Titanic. Most of the people are not the ones who go to watch English movies, but still they were enjoying. Though they do not understand the language the characters speak, they enjoyed the film because they understand the language of cinema. First time DiCaprio and Kate Winslet meet on the deck, they all understand. DiCaprio will save Kate and they will fall in love. Their love story is going to be a tragic one. How did they understand this? Because they understand the language of cinema, which they knew very well. But how did they learn this language? They were enjoying the film. They were appreciating the actors. They might have missed small nuances because they do not understand the language characters speak. But still, they have had the help of the language of cinema. Here comes the question, how do they know the language of cinema? Because the language of cinema naturally they have. Because they have been watching movies. Their forefathers have been watching the movies. In the 90s, they were the seventh generation of film goers. That's why the cinema as a language was already formed in the head. It's a kind of a visual literacy which slowly turns into an emotional literacy. That is another magical aspect of cinema, I must say. This is what all great filmmakers have understood, and they made their films for the international audience. They know very well whether the audience understand the language the characters speak or not. They would basically appreciate the movie. They were using the language of cinema as an emotional and visual literacy. Teaching language of cinema really helps people to improve their not only the visual literacy, also the emotional literacy. James Cameron, who made the Titanic, clearly understood this. That is the reason why he knew that film would be a great hit before he made it. You know how did he got that project? He went to Paramount and told them, I'm going to make a film on Titanic. My God, they already have made quite a few films on Titanic in black and white too. What do you want to make? No, he said, I'm not making a film on Titanic ship. I'm going to make a film on Romeo and Juliet. Oh God, Romeo and Juliet, many versions been made. No. In my film, imagine Romeo and Juliet in the Titanic ship. This is what made the film such a huge hit. They were watching the lovers. They knew the story of Titanic. They really don't really need the language that the characters were speaking. The visual language, the emotional literacy of that visual language was so powerful. That's why all over the world people watched and enjoyed Titanic. Here comes the question, how did you learn this language of cinema? Is it natural? Yes, it is natural. If it is natural, how do we learn a language?